thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online.
Google it
They
yourself.
spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
What I'm saying is Jesus wrote a dinosaur to work. That's history. It's in the Bible. How to Train Your Dragon.
Historical facts.
And if you don't believe it, do your own research. Pull up Google. You'll find the picture, I promise.
Oh my God.
Thank you, John Gleason, Godless engineer, for gifting me this beautiful moment. Y'all remember when they tried to cancel Steven Spielberg for posing with an animatronic triceratops animal rights activist?
Back it up.
Hit it from the back.
Cloaca. Historical facts.
Eat my ass, BP. You're down here bailing on the rest of us because you don't want to process your grief and shame like a normal person by drinking and mistreating strangers.
No, Rick. It is you who must nibble my cloaca, or bird asshole.
Everyone knows what a cloaca is.
Back in the Civil War, and they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out, and this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge winglet. It was a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so...
Paul Bunyan was sharing some Funyuns with his pet velociraptor.
Whoa.
Oh, you thought it was an ox? Roll back the clock. Let me knock the socks off. Historical facts.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. Are you a pervert or something? Okay.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I forgot to set my mic up to where it's... there we go. Maybe. Nope. It's gonna have an issue real quick. Hold on. Okay. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologists' claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at a live stream that Dr. Sean McDowell did with Dr. Doug Groothius, which I have to say, that is the funnest name in apologetics right there. Like, next to Sulpicius Severus, back in like the, 4th or 5th century or something like that. He's a goddamn Harry Potter villain. But Dr. Groothius tonight is going to be explaining exactly why Christianity is not sexist. Fucking blew my mind that apparently it's not, even though I can read the words that are on the fucking page. Anyways, Dr. Groothius is going to be telling us why we're all wrong and how we're just reading them in the incorrect ways. Literally off the page. So, excuse me. So, if you want to fuck around and find out exactly why Christianity isn't sexist, then please stay tuned. All right, smooth transition there. Gonna get my hat all fixed up because I look kind of fucking weird. Anyways, what's up, heathens? How y'all doing? We haven't. If you guys are new to the stream, if anybody here is new to the stream, any of the proceeds that we make off of our live streams or any of our content here at Godless Engineer, a portion of that is going to be going to some kind of charity. That would also include memberships, super chats, super thanks, which are the ways that you can, pay on or post like a super thing after a video is posted. I don't fucking know. You can just pay for it. I don't. Anyways, we're going to be giving to a charity this month. We haven't selected the charity yet, so we will be letting you guys know about that next week. So if you want to, you can send in a super chat, have your thoughts heard directly on the stream while we're reviewing the video. You can also just watch our videos, share our content out, smash that like button. Subscribing also helps. So any of those ways will help us donate to charity, and hopefully we can finally get Ray Comfort to vomit and not swallow. Because I almost made him vomit with my one performance, so we just got to go the full 9 if he'll ever watch our channel again. Anyways, we've already got a member chat from Johnny Rapine saying it can't be since they don't see them as people. I feel like that's one of those, I got it. Yeah, exactly. That's how it's not sexist, because we don't treat them as people. It's exactly right. All right. So, we do have a full show tonight. We've got Today I Learned. We've got comments. We got Brocephus stopping by to tell us some shit from his TEDx or TED Talk. And, we got a full ass stream. Now, let's see. I know this week we kind of had an abbreviated week because, we didn't have a video at the very front of the week. But we will be having a full week next week with a video where I respond to Tim O'Neill that I'll be putting together and putting out at the end of next week. So y'all be sure to look out for that. So I think we got all the boilerplate shit out of the way. So let's hurry on up on over to the comments, shall we? Oh, I gotta get my. There it is. Oh, here we go. Starting the night strong. Today I learned. All right. We'll be busting that out again here soon. All right. So first up on Today I Learned, we've got Today I Learned that Jacobo Pazzi was hanged next to a rotting corpse. Huh? Oh. Sorry, I just yawned loudly. I apologize. Okay. I was trying to. Sorry. No, it's okay. It's nap time. Yeah. Oh, before we get into the Today I Learned, I want to thank everybody that's watching right now, because you're choosing me over The Last of Us. And I don't know why you're here watching, because I would be watching Last of Us, but that's exactly what we're going to be doing right after this stream, is watching the next episode of The Last of Us. So Jacobo Pazzi was hanged next to a rotting corpse, and then he was buried, dug up, and thrown in a ditch, then dragged through the streets, propped up at the door of his palace with his head used as a doorknob, thrown in a river, fished out by children, hanged again, flogged, and then thrown back in the river. What in the fuck did this guy do? Like, did you look up what he did? No, because... Damn it. Oh shit. Jacobo. We'll see. There's Jacopo Pazzi, who apparently appeared in a Assassin's Creed game. The only thing I'm coming up is Jacopo, not Jacobo. Yeah, of course I didn't follow the fucking link, but
They were banished from Florence.
oh, banished from
Well, his family.
his entire family. He appeared in the video game Assassin's Creed 2. He was killed by Rodrigo Borgia. Of course, this is Jacopo Pazzi. Oh yes, this is it. They just misspelled the name. Let's see. After being buried at Santa Croce, I don't know if I'm saying that right. His body was dug up, thrown in a ditch, dragged to the streets, propped up on a door. Yeah, so he became head of the Pazzi in 1464. After the Pazzi conspiracy. Let's see. Pazzi was a plot by the members of the Pazzi family and others to displace the Medici family and the rulers of the Renaissance as rulers of Renaissance Florence.
Oh, so they tried to take over like power from the Medicis.
Yeah, they had their own little January 6th and they got fucked up.
Well, the Medicis were fucking savage. You know, when we go to Rome, we're actually staying right across from the Medici castle.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably a pretty fucked up place, huh?
I can't wait to go see it.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's who that guy was, and it's Jacopo Pazzi, not Jacobo Pazzi. But anyways, so that's kind of interesting to know. He was, he fucked up pretty bad taking on the Medicis. Ah, shit. My ear's gonna go out before we get to the thing. Because I've got a low battery. I don't think you have a low battery though. No, it'll be okay for right now. All right, let's continue, shall we? I've got this very poorly positioned right now on my screen. I'm gonna need to. There we go.
Would you say he fucked around and found out?
Oh, he definitely fucked around and found out in the worst way. Definitely. Next up, today I learned that a Dutch woman was denied Swiss naturalization despite having lived there for 39 years because her neighbors deemed her too annoying and not integrated into Swiss society, since she often criticized Swiss tradition of hanging large bells on cows' necks. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that should really deny somebody citizenship, but it's definitely an interesting take on the immigration process, I guess. Honestly, I wish that we could deport Marjorie Taylor Greene, somewhere. It's like, oh, you're not integrated into American society because you want to overthrow the government, it seems. She hasn't explicitly said that, but, it's kind of like her actions kind of hang her for that one. If you're wondering what I'm drinking tonight, very special concoction. So, I don't know if you guys know, but you can get, like, drink packets of Skittles, and it's sugar-free. So, like, there's no sugar, as far as I know, in this. Incredibly sweet. But anyways, so KC, so lovely. She mixed Sprite with the drink packet, the strawberry starfruit, and put some vodka in it, and it tastes delicious. We got Tomato Chan Zoomity, the Zoomington Zoomer, says, I'm pretty sure nobody would complain if we just deported all the Christian nationalists for not integrating into society. I can definitely agree with that. Hey, hon, I think I am going to need your, because mine's shut off. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. All right. So that's kind of interesting. Again, not exactly the way that I'd handle immigration, but whatever the fuck. Finally, on Today I Learned, we have that in 1971, the Texas legislature unanimously passed a resolution honoring Boston strangler Albert DeSalvo for his work in population control. Representative Tom Moore Jr. introduced the bill to prove that they passed legislation with no due diligence given to researching the issues beforehand, which seems to be a problem in government, is, you know, not actually researching the issues. It's like, oh yeah, population control, fuck yeah, let's do it, let's honor him. Of course, Texas, I feel like they still would have been like, yeah, we should probably do that. Because Texas is kind of fucked up. Anyways. All right. That's it for Today I Learned. I hope that you guys enjoyed learning some new shit. I know that I did, and I do every single time. But now, y'all know what we got to do? Comments of the day. That's right there, hun. Comments of the day. Prepare to feast from yourself in the next week. All right. Sorry, the uke had other shit to say. All right, so time for some comments. I know I'm ready for comments. Yeah. So this wasn't posted 4 days ago, but this guy says, from personal experience, the engineering profession makes way more sense when creation and design are framed by belief in God. You know, honestly, as an engineer, I have to question, like, God's design choices for just literally fucking everything. Because I feel like if I was in charge of Project Earth and Project Humans, I probably would design things better. Given that I'm, you know, an all-knowing and all-powerful deity that's creating all this shit, I would think that one would think that you would design things in a not so shitty fashion. You would think that he would design things to work appropriately in whatever environment he sets shit in. So, I mean, I feel like I would do a lot of things different, like, just as an engineer myself. I don't know if this guy's a fucking engineer. He doesn't seem to be, but who knows? I still don't understand why it would make more sense, like, at all. All right, next up, we got Travis here, who's in Flint, who says, I hate allergy season. I took Claritin, but nobody else did, so my allergy medicine's not working. My allergy medicine isn't working. Yeah, because that's how that works. He's obviously trying to shit talk vaccines, and he apparently doesn't understand what herd immunity is. He also doesn't seem to understand what, like, fucking allergies are, because it's not like allergies are very different than, like, what you would vaccinate a group of individuals for. He also doesn't seem to understand herd immunity, where, you know, not everybody in a population group can be vaccinated or protected against a certain disease. So if you have most of the group protected, then that inherently protects those that can't be or aren't vaccinated. That has fuck all to do with goddamn allergies, okay? So this guy is he's trying to be funny, but he's failing pretty hard. He does seem like a dipshit, babe. Next up is Turbo. You know what Turbo makes me think of? No. Family. All right, so Turbo says, that's the reason I don't believe in evolution. I can't see it happen with my own eyes. yeah, you're not going to be able to see a process that takes place over multiple generations as far as like what he's expecting, right? What he's expecting are large morphological changes. He's thinking of fucking Pokemon evolution, right? That's not how it would happen. You can see evolution with your eyes. There's this great video out there. I think it was done by MIT maybe. Anyways, they put bacteria in this culture that has this, it has this like toxic element to it. And so you can literally see the bacteria evolve to deal with whatever that toxic element that was in this environment. You can see it evolve like right before your eyes. So, of course, he would probably think, oh, well, that's just adaptation. And it is adaptation, but it's still evolution, because evolution is evolution. Doesn't matter if it's just small changes, which would be the adaptation, or if it's large morphological changes, which don't happen in a single generation. Like this motherfucker's thinking about a dog shitting out a cat or something like that. In fact, it would actually take that exact situation in order to explain the diversity of life that we have now if Noah's Ark was a real thing. I mean, they would have to be producing new species, like 11 new species every single day. That's quite literally a cat shitting out a tiger, okay? Okay. Next up is Greg Koukl. That's a fun name too. These apologists have some fun names. Koukl. Greg Koukl says, if Darwinism is all we have to explain morality, then it turns out there is no objective morality of any kind. There are just beliefs people have. That's relativism. Well, yeah. By every time they say objective morality, what they really mean is absolute morality, like some kind of absolute foundation that never changes. You don't even have that in Christianity. So yes, it is all subjective, and I guess relative to like the time and place that you live in. So I mean that fits with everything that we've experienced like in the past. So I don't understand why this is a problem. Even Christians are subjectively selecting a moral foundation. And every single generation of Christians select a different moral foundation. So, well, unless you're Steven Anderson, then you're kind of stuck with like, the bigot foundation. That entire group, they just have like one foundation. They literally have one foundation, but it's not socially acceptable. So, anyways, thank you, Greg Koukl. I'm not going to be able to say his name normally again. No, because I'm always going to be like, Koukl. Anyways, Yeah. Wesley Williams says, now, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? If the watchmaker fallacy is the theology that a design implies a designer, right? Well, if that has been debunked, then what is your answer about the universe? What's my answer about the universe? What the fuck do you mean by that? What do you mean, what's my answer for the universe? Like, how did the universe come to be here? 42. 42, motherfucker. Look it up. You should know it already. So if the question is, how did this universe come into existence? Well, I don't think that there's anything that says that, there needs to be an intelligent sentience, like a sentience behind, the inflation of the universe. Considering that all natural processes so far are don't need any kind of intelligent designer or intelligence in order to make them operate. I feel like the beginning of the universe being a natural process, being like a natural part of our reality, it could come into existence just naturally without any need for any kind of sentience or intelligence there to snap it into existence. And right now, our best hypothesis about the inflation of the universe is that a quantum scalar field was in a false vacuum state. And then for whatever reason, or no reason at all, it fluctuates from that false vacuum state into a true vacuum state, thereby releasing an immense amount of energy. So there was no energy created. It was released. That's why they call it the Big Bang, is because you can think of it like a explosion, right? Because in an explosion, you don't create energy. Energy is not created in an explosion. Chemical energy is transformed into different kinds of energy. And so it's just released. The chemical energy is released. And so the inflation of the universe, being that it released an immense amount of energy, and our universe was too hot and dense for even light to travel through it or atoms to even form. So it took about 300,000 years for it to cool down enough for atoms to start to form and for light to travel through the universe. And then from there on, shit just sort of came together. But through natural forces and all this other stuff. So if that's what you're talking about, there's your answer. And I don't need a God in order to explain all that. Like, there's no sentience needed. There's no intelligence needed to design that process. It's just a natural part of reality. Okay. So let's see. Is that all? Do we got Brocephus now? I think yes. Y'all ready for Brocephus? I hope y'all are ready, because we're booking it through tonight so I can watch The Last of Us.
Shitty ass science! We're gonna answer some science shit really wrong.
Listen, y'all need to quit hiding my shirts and shit, because I can't find my shit now. Holy fuck. I'm gonna have to steal some of your shit there, GE, one day. You're gonna wake up and you're not gonna have fucking pants.
What?
Listen, it's okay. He walks around without pants on all day anyways.
I mean,
He just walks around with it hanging out.
No, he doesn't. Rude.
Oh, I'm rude?
Yes.
I'm rude? Well, I've got a friend that I brought with me today.
You do?
I do. He's gonna help me explain some shit.
Oh, okay.
All right, here we go. I had some shit in my ear. Fuck. Anyways, I did bring a friend with me tonight to help explain this shit for y'all, okay? It's fucking Jesus, okay? He's here. He's not queer. I'm not queer. I'm just a hippie.
Woo! That's KC's money.
Johnny Rapine says, ready for Brocephus? He still owes me $5. I don't owe him shit. I don't know what he's talking about. All right, what are we explaining tonight there, dipshit? Fuck. Can someone please explain the reproductive cycle for cars and why the placenta looks human? What? I didn't design them like that. That was my daddy. Isn't that you, though? Look, don't read too much into it, okay, dipshit? Just explain this. Wow, Brocephus sounds just like, or Jesus sounds just like Brocephus. Well, when you live together, you start sounding like each other. Anyway, so basically what happens here is that that car right there, sorry, he's headbutting. That car right there probably got fucked by a Hummer. He does have a hand. Thank you for alerting him to my handiness. So, anyways, Now he's pledging allegiance. Anyways, so Hummer fucked that particular SUV right there, and then obviously the placenta is the dude in red, and I'm guessing that that's just the natural process right there. Like it's just attached to the other car. So anyways, the Hummer fucks that car up the tailpipe, and then it impregnates it, and then like 6 weeks later, the smaller car pops out, and then you got to let it run around so that it can grow up and everything. And then it's like a Hummer Hyundai Sonata something or another. I don't know what the fuck that car is, but anyways, it's a mixed breed. Those last a lot longer. So I've heard. Anyways, so that's exactly what happens right there. What the fuck is you saying? Why you got a different voice now? Well, people were thinking that I was you, and I just didn't want that to happen. This is very odd and cringy, I have to say. You're not the one with the hand up your ass now, are you? KC said not at the moment. Anyway, I'm gonna send you back to your room because I wanna do this. Okay, bye. Jesus, we'll figure something out for you later. Hey, maybe he can take over for the alerts, and maybe we can get him to read some alerts there. Yeah, that might be interesting. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so yeah, placentas and something or another stuck to the tailpipe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that's just that they're just there. Like, why is the placenta needed in the first place? To pad the baby? Well, that baby needed padding too. Look at it. You don't want it all dinged up and everything inside that other car right there. They should have. Let's see. Elizabeth says that Jesus puppet is the best new channel character. Yeah, we're going to have him back on. I just got to figure out some kind of way to... Well, GE has to figure it out. I don't got to do shit except for shittily explain stuff. So, anyways, the moral of the story is don't get fucked by a Hummer. Otherwise, 6 weeks later, you're going to have a smaller car coming out your asshole. That's the meaning of this. So, yeah, don't fuck a Hummer. There's a fetish out there where people fuck cars. Can you imagine what that would be like? Dude fucks a car and then 6 weeks later, like a human/car comes out. That's how Autobots were born. Mm-hmm. That's how Autobots were born. Dude fucked a car and out comes a semi truck, a semi thing, a semi, and it was Optimus Prime. And then other people fucked other cars. Like I'm sure somebody fucked a 70s era Beetle, and then that produced that Bumblebee fuck. Came right out the tailpipe and everything. And he had to run around too until he got old enough, and then he could transform. And that's actually how Transformers were born. We figured it out. We did it. Figured out Transformers. Way to go, everybody. Oh, anyways. All right. Well, I guess I'll leave y'all to it. I'm going to go back to my room and see if I can talk this Jesus fuck down into, I don't know. Oh, he could make me some wine, couldn't he? I better keep him away from the toilet. Otherwise, that's just going to look very disturbing in the middle of the night. Jesus Christ, what'd you do? And then he's over in the corner like, Anyways, I'm going to head on out, y'all. I will see you heathens later. Don't forget to fuck off and go to hell. Bye. Well, shit, I can't do my zippity zappity. I could be nicer, but then where's the fun in that? By the way, we did not have pizza. We had chili, and I am going to just rip that fucking toilet up tonight.
Why are we talking about this?
Well, I mean, you had chili, so, I mean, that's the penalty for having chili with my asshole around.
I mean, my ass is fine.
Your ass is fun? Go to bed, Brocephus. We don't want to hear that shit. I'm sure everybody enjoyed that extra cringy Brocephus section. Let's see. I'm going to start a poll. There we go. Let me know your feedback, and we'll see if we can get Jesus back up in here sometime. So far, 100% yes. All right. So obviously, I don't know what the small car is here, but you know, whatever. This is fun. All right, y'all ready to see why Christianity is not sexist? Casey's a bit doubtful. I'm pretty doubtful too. Oh, sorry. She wanted me to correct myself. Skeptical is what she, is what she said. Oh, okay. So far, nearly 30 votes, 100% yes. With the new Jesus character. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to vote. If you're watching right now, vote. We're about to get into this right here. So this is Dr. Doug Groothius. Well, he goes Doug Groothius, PhD. Anyways. So he is a professional apologist. Just so you know who we're talking about here. He has degrees from non-theological colleges, but he's primarily trained in the field of theology. And so like he's got apologetics books, of course, and they're like how-to like books. It's like how to be an apologist, basically, is what it is. So yeah, that's the kind of person we're dealing with here. And obviously, if he's saying that the Bible is not sexist, he's working with a whole fucking different kind of like theology than that's presented in the Bible. So we're gonna figure this shit out. Let's see, hopefully, yep, this is still connected. All right. We got Tomato Chan in the side chat is doing the pregnant pregante pregonant pregante pregonant and then pregnant. Anyway, that's always funny to me. Okay, so we're about to find out why shit is shit in the Bible is not sexist. We are going to be going to the pulpit tonight after he says some dumb shit, so hold on to your butts for that. Holden?
Question number 10. Is Christianity sexist?
No, it certainly isn't. Because, again, going back to Genesis, male and female are both created equally in the divine image.
Sorry, that was 14 seconds. Obviously, I could have cut it off way before that. 14 seconds! So, the question is right now, in Genesis, does it say that Adam and Eve were created equally? Were they, treated equally? No? Well, you know what? Let's I do not have a pulpit button. I forgot to make a pulpit button. Let's head on over to the pulpit, shall we? All right. So here at the pulpit, we don't bullshit about the Bible, all right? I know Jesus is in here and he can hear me too. Because right now we've got 39 votes and nearly all of them are yes. So I know Jesus can hear me. Somebody voted no, yeah. But yeah, this is bullshit, honey. All right, so Genesis 2:20 to 22. It says, God fashions a woman out of one of Adam's ribs. This is necessary since Adam couldn't find a helpmeet in any of the animals that God made for him. He couldn't successfully fuck and impregnate any of the other animals, so God cloned him, but made it a woman so that it could be a helpmeet for him, or in this case, she could be a helpmeet. So, of course, 2 Timothy, what the fuck ever, shut the fuck up. I'm so sorry, whoever just donated. And Daniel M. Well, because the notifications were, like, buried up underneath, like, all of my on-screen stuff. Daniel M. says, David says, good night. His birthday is Wednesday, the big 6. I'll have you sing happy birthday next week. Okay, awesome. So I hope you have a good night there, David. I hope you had a great week, and you'll have a great weekend, and I guess we will see you later. Okay, bud? Thank you so much there, Daniel, for sending in that super chat. So we all know the story of Adam and Eve in the garden. And one of the things is that Eve is convinced by the snake to eat the apple or the fruit, and then she convinces Adam to eat the fruit, which there's not really a lot of convincing. It's like, hey, this tastes good, and so eat. And so anyways, Eve is in the middle of this whole thing as being the one that falls first, right? So there's that, which is a little subtle, but in the punishment that God deals out, which is number 3 right here, it's very obvious that one side is getting the shaft while the other side is getting a little slap on the wrist. Because Eve now, God says, in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, thy husband shall rule over thee. So God punishes Eve with childbirth, painful childbirth. Now, listen, okay? What he does for the man is that he's got to work and provide food and eat and everything in order to survive, right? Like, living is basically what he's tasked with, is just living as we understand it now. And so, but Eve is given the sorrow of childbirth. Now, I've never been through childbirth, but I can imagine that it's a pretty painful experience, okay? Like, sometimes it's a little painful when I'm on the shitter, okay? And that's nowhere even close to the pain that must be felt, during childbirth. Not only that, but the mortality rate of women before modern medicine was bad. Like, it was abysmal. And, sometimes, childbirth was a death sentence for a woman. And with modern medicine, we've been able to alleviate a lot of that. Republicans want to bring it back in full force, though. But anyways, and so God is basically sentencing all of womankind to potentially die from procreation. And he has the audacity to say, go forth and procreate. Like, I don't know how much more anti-woman you can get, but we're going to find out. So another thing in the Old Testament, which we're not even really, I mean, we could spend all, fucking 4 or 5 years in the Bible. I mean, on the Daily Bible Podcast, we're only about, a little ways into the New Testament there. But in any case, so God says that the man is going to rule over the woman, for one. Another thing is that women in the Bible are always presented as being property of men. So to sit there and act like the Bible isn't sexist or misogynistic or anything like that, I feel like that's it's a little weird considering this. Okay, here's another thing that appears like in just the first few sections of the Bible. This is how it starts off. Okay, this is where Israel gets established. I don't know if y'all know this, but Israel was actually a dude, and he was originally named Jacob. Until God naked wrestled him in the desert, and Jacob grabbed. Was it Jacob that grabbed God's dick, or was it God that grabbed Jacob's dick? One of them grabbed the other one's dick, and then Jacob got renamed to Israel. I don't know what happened out there, to each their own. I'm not kink shaming anything. I'm just saying that's what happened. But it's important for you to understand how Jacob or Israel...
Hey, y'all know what? Any time is a good time for a beer.
Fuck yeah, I'm going to have me a drink right now. But it's very important to understand the backstory of Jacob, okay? Because Jacob was this poor, lowly soul, right? But he had the uts or whatever for Rachel, who was this guy Laban. I think Laban was the dad's name. He has let's see, it's Abimelech closed all the wombs. Oh yeah, here we go. I believe it's Laban. Oh, no, there's Rebecca, Abraham. Sorry, there's so many. There's so many. Yes, Laban. Here it is. It's right here. Chapter 29 of Genesis. Sorry, there's multiple different stories that are exactly the same. Anyways, we're at Jacob. He has the uts for Rachel. Laban is Rachel's father, and so Laban decides to sell his daughter to Jacob. And in Israelite society, you sell your daughters into marriage. Or, as many scholars have noted, it's sexual slavery in this particular situation. The way that women are forced into marriage, there's no consent at all considered or anything like that. They're just sold off into marriage, right? And so Laban wants to swap 7 years of Jacob's hard labor for his daughter, okay? But it doesn't stop there, okay? Because once he completes his 7 years of work, Laban actually gives Leah, Rachel's sister, to Jacob, and like a dinner at a fancy restaurant, and you don't want to pay for it, Jacob realizes the next morning, after he's already bedded Leah, that he fucked Leah and not Rachel. And so he's like, well, shit, now I got to work another 7 years and buy the other sister. So he worked 7 years and he ends up buying Rachel. So now he's got both Rachel and Leah. Oh, but it doesn't stop there, because each one of them women have their own women servants. And you're like, oh, servant slavery, yes, we got all that. But you fucking forget that servants are often used as incubation objects. Like Jacob forced the servant girls to get pregnant when Leah and Rachel couldn't. And then, of course, you know, there's a whole swapping out of shit that God does with Rachel and Leah being pregnant. In any case, Jacob ends up fucking all four of them. All four of them give birth to kids. Okay? This is sexual slavery right here. Of course, the Bible is presenting it as if this was all a choice that was made by the women, but there was no, consent that was given. There was no consent that was asked. If you're going to sit there and tell me that the Bible's not sexist, I'm sorry, but I'm not even 30 chapters into fucking Genesis. And Genesis has 38 chapters in it, so it's more than halfway through. But I'm just saying that, like, just in Genesis alone, you've got some of the most sexist shit playing out. And the rest of the Bible is exactly like this. The rest of the Bible has women being treated as property. Women are given, less of a consideration than a man. At one particular point, which I meant to look this up earlier, but at one particular point in the laws in the Old Testament, women are literally valued less than men. Like, monetarily, they're valued less. How is this not sexist? I mean, Dr. Doug here is trying to present the Bible as if, oh, God created them, the divine image. They were equally created in his eyes. The fuck? The fuck are you talking about? Women have to give birth, which at this point in time, like in the Old Testament days, could kill you. You could die. You could die from it now. There are plenty of women who still die, even with modern medicine. So, I mean, but Adam, he's just got to fucking farm shit, and he's got to work to provide for himself and his family and all this other stuff. So, I mean, like, yeah, that's exactly equal. Dude's got to work for shit. Woman, she could possibly die, fulfilling her godly duties or whatever, the duties that God is said to do, which is to go forth and procreate, right? Like, this is some bullshit.
Plus, she got to keep the home.
Oh, and she's got to keep the home, and then, she's got to bring her daughters up right so that they don't question things when they get sold to some 45-year-old asshole. Anyways, all right. Let's get back to the video. Thank you for visiting my pulpit. All right. So now that I've had a little bit of a rant, maybe we'll go back here in a little bit, and figure out some more shit. So we got some more votes, 89-11 now. On the Jesus puppet, it seems like that's winning out there. So the 11% are wrong is what KC said.
And the creation mandate is given to the first couple. Creation mandate wasn't, now Eve, make sure to obey Adam and only do what he says.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me go. Fuck. Oh, nothing's wrong necessarily. I know. I was like, oh, we'll go back here in a little bit, but I just I had to go back here and check this out real quick because I'm fairly certain. Let's see. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. I'm reading this correctly, right? Like, let me. He shall rule over thee.
Yeah, that's not equality.
I mean, I'm just checking my eyes here. Like, I get it. Yeah, it fucking says he shall rule over thee. This is exactly, hey woman, do what your man say. I don't know what in the fuck Doug is talking about here. So I've come to the conclusion about something.
Okay.
Apologists like Sean McDowell here, like Doug, like all of the apologists, I feel, that take these kinds of positions. No, that they want and need their crowd to be illiterate. Like, I feel like that's what they're banking on. They do hate education. The Bible starts out being very anti-knowledge. But it just kind of feels like reading the Bible, the words literally on the fucking page here. He shall rule over thee. These mother...
Woo! That's KC's money.
You got some money, honey. These people literally want their adherents to be illiterate. How can you seriously read this and be like, oh yeah, that's definitely equality right there. That's just, that shit, that nobody should believe what in the fuck this dude is saying right now when just being illiterate disproves him. We had a couple of super chats. Doubtful Form says, so Eve was a female Adam? How LGBTQ plus? Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people like to say that. And I mean, you know, honestly, there's a lot of points in the Bible where you could be like, oh, I didn't know God was so progressive by being okay with, you know, David fucking his lover over there. So yeah, Zachary the Hockey says, oh, and don't forget verse Corinthians 14:34. Women should remain silent in the churches. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission. That's a really good one, too. There's Zachary. It's women should be silent in churches. They're not allowed to speak, and they must be in submission. The whole submission idea in Christianity is prevalent. Again, don't know what the fuck this dude's talking about, and he seems to require his audience to just be fucking illiterate. And just, you know, be like, oh, I know I can read the words on the page, but my site must be fucked up because it says exactly opposite to what he says. I have to read, he shall rule over thee, and think, oh, that means that they are both on an equal footing. No, Doug. Fuck.
It's given to humanity. And the Bible does speak of appropriate sexual behavior for men and appropriate sexual behavior for women.
You know what's really weird about this particular statement, and I know that I'm stopping it a lot, but it's kind of a short clip, is that appropriate sexual behavior, that's a weirdly, like, subjective statement to make there. Because it's like, well, what's appropriate sexual behavior? And, you know, just thinking about it now, you know, of course there's like edge cases and nuance that should be added, but like, I feel the major, the major factor in appropriate sexual behavior for anybody should start with consent. Should it not? Like, I don't care what kinks you're into. You could like sucking on toes while you jump out of a plane or something. I don't know. But like, I don't consider that to be inappropriate sexual behavior as long as you're, you know, to the people involved are consenting to it. Like the mutual consent, informed consent about it. So like, that's the one thing that the Bible does not have in it. So I don't understand how the Bible can have any kind of declaration on appropriate sexual conduct when it doesn't even start with the first step you have to take, and that's consent. The Bible doesn't give a shit about consent as far as women go, or you know, the other party or whatever. Like, it's so weird to hear because it's so weird to hear somebody say that the Bible has this appropriate sense of sexual behavior, but yet it doesn't cover the most basic idea that any subjective standard for sexual behavior should start with, and that's consent. I mean, I feel like, again, Doug here is banking on an ignorant or idiotic or asinine audience.
But it does not put a man above a woman or men above women simply because they happen to be men or women. You find many women leaders in the Bible.
It literally has like a hierarchy. Like even in the New Testament, it always talks about a hierarchy. Men are on top and women and children are underneath that. And of course, Jesus is first because, you know, the man has to lick Jesus's asshole, and then God is above that, which for some reason they separate out Jesus and God, which I know that they think they're three persons in one fucking entity. It just sounds like a crazy person with DID. But in any case, it just seems so weird for him to say that when it's literally laid out in the Bible, the hierarchy of like the social status of different individuals in society. Women are never at the same level as men or above men. Women are sold into sexual slavery. Men are not. Men go out and pick their sexual slaves and then pay the fathers so that they can just take the girl back home with them. And typically these girls are sold by their fathers at a young age, like, 12, 14 years old. I believe it was Rebecca at that well. She was believed to be like between 12 and 14 years old when she was eyeballed by creepy fuck at the watering well, and he decided to, go back and buy her. And there's never any kind of consideration for whether or not the woman wants any of this to happen. So I'm kind of curious as to the women leaders that he's going to be mentioning here, because I can guarantee you that if there are women leaders in the Bible, which there are a few that you can consider leaders, it's always got a caveat to it. There's always a nuance that needs to be thrown in there to contextualize the story.
Also, when people are counted,
Yeah.
like when they do the census and people are counted, or children are named.
Yeah.
Women and girls are not counted.
Right. Casey made the distinction that whenever they do the population counts, like in numbers and everything like that, women are not counted.
Or when they list genealogies, women are never.
Right. Or when they list genealogies, women are never counted in there. That's why, like in the New Testament, you have the genealogies traced. You got the two different ones, and it's all men, and it all supposedly leads to Joseph. But New Testament scholars now, because they want you to be fucking illiterate, or try to say that one of those genealogies is Mary's genealogy, which it's not. It literally says that they all lead to Joseph. They literally want you to be illiterate. At least their behavior seems to indicate that. Obviously, neither of these guys on the screen here are going to say, yeah, we want our audience to be illiterate so that they won't know how to read, so that we can just tell them whatever the fuck we want to tell them that's in the Bible. They're not going to be like that blatant about it, but the behavior of misreciting, just basically lying about what's in the book, I feel requires you to be illiterate, or requires you just to not read the book. Huh? Or to be dishonest.
One of my favorites is Deborah, who was a prophet and a judge in the book of...
Okay, Deborah, prophet and a judge. While true, those two things are there, Deborah was not solely the judge. Deborah had help. And the way that she was validated as being part of that story and being picked as the judge was that she had a man backing her up. She had a male counterpart that validated her being the judge and all this other shit. So, is Deborah, a good example of a woman leader? You could frame it that way, but you do need to contextualize it with only because she had a male counterpart.
Judges, I think she was the best of all the judges, and
I feel like that part right there seemed like a very like he's trying too hard. Like it may be that Deborah is his favorite judge. That fine. It seemed like he was just trying a little bit too hard there. I don't know.
Find women leaders in the New Testament as well. So there's nothing in the Bible that says that men are.
Sorry, I'll back that up just a little bit there. But like, he's sitting there talking about how there's so many women leaders in the Bible. There's so many positive women leads in the Bible. He brings up Deborah, which is apparently his favorite, which is probably why he thought of it. And then he's like, he vaguely mentions in the New Testament how they are leaders. Where exactly? Like, I'm just kind of curious. Like in the New Testament, who's a good woman leader that isn't treated poorly, or isn't treated like Jewish society treated women, which was horribly. Yes, honey, there is Mary Magdalene, and you're right, she was a whore. But I don't really see her as being like I can't think of anything that she did necessarily that was like leader-ish. So Casey was saying that she was one of the women that found the tomb empty, and depending on the gospel that you read, I do believe Mary Magdalene was one of them in one of the stories. Okay, if we just take that, like the women finding the tomb, that's a good example. If you take the women finding the tomb, in Mark's gospel, they're scared shitless and they run away and they don't say anything to anybody. Right? So portraying the women as being these frail and women that just nearly fuck shit up, I guess. But then you fast forward to the other gospels and you have more post-resurrection appearances. But like when they find the tomb empty, they go back and tell the disciples, and then the disciples, not believing them, had to go and double check. So it's not like they were trusted with anything necessarily. It's just that, like the women told the disciples, and then it's like, oh, well, I've got to double check this because you're just fucking women. Right? Like, I don't know. I like that has problems with it. If you want to go back to the Old Testament, if you wanted to pick out another person that could potentially be like a leader-ish, Ruth is often pointed out as being a leader, but the story of Ruth, I mean, while she does have leadership qualities, it still is very misogynistic and sexist, because basically what happens in Ruth is you've got the king there who orders his queen at the time to do some naughty dancing or naked dancing in front of his fellas, right? And she refuses to do it, so he fires her ass, okay? And then he sends all of his eunuchs, because to be around the king, you gotta cut your balls off. He sends all of his eunuchs out to round up a whole lot of young girls so that he can test drive them, if you get my meaning. And he just happened to like Ruth out of all of them. And then there's like this whole thing, that kind of goes on with Ruth and Ruth's uncle and yada, yada, yada. It ends up with the uncle fucked around, found out, and then had Ruth convince the king not to do some really heinous shit. And so it's like, she's still a sexual slave. She's still treated as a second-class citizen. She's definitely not on the same level as men. So I feel like you could pick any woman like presented in the Bible, and you can find problematic shit with each one of them. Oh, sorry, that's not Ruth, that's Esther. That was Esther. Yeah, sorry, I get characters mixed up. So that was Esther that I just talked about, not Ruth. Well, they're all words on the page. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you so much in the side chat there for correcting me on that. That was Esther, not Ruth. But in any case, I feel like you could find problematic shit with any woman figure that you find in the Bible. Because like with the story of Ruth, the story of Ruth, she's still treated like a sexual slave. I mean, there's no sex that necessarily goes on in that story that I can remember right off the top of my head, but she's still treated as if she's subservient to the guy. Well, yeah, because she is. That's part of Israelite culture. Israelite culture in the Bible is misogynistic and sexist. It just is. That's right, hon.
Leaders in the New Testament as well. So there's nothing in the Bible that says that men are intrinsically better than women or the other way around. The issue is character. Who are we in our character before God? And if you look at the fruits of the Spirit, you don't have one set of fruit for men, one set of fruit for women. You know, fruits of the Spirit or the gifts of the Spirit don't come in pink and blue, so to speak, as my first wife, Becky, used to say.
Well, so I feel like what he's trying to do here is to recontextualize how both women and men are seen by speaking from a very New Testament oriented position of like, well, you know, we're all subservient to God. So in that way, we're all on equal footing, right? He did the same thing with how men and women were created in Genesis. Well, we're all made in the image of God, so we're still like, you know, on equal footing. And this is a really disingenuous way to frame what happens in the Bible. Because while it's true in the Bible and in the New Testament that, you know, like you have Paul who says there's neither male nor female because we're all subservient to God, we're all children of God, we're all part of this faith where God is at the top and everything else is below that, right? But that particular contextualization of the Christian faith ignores all of the nuance. You know, if you're not looking like from a 30,000 foot view, if you're looking at the nuance that's intrinsic to the theology of Christianity, it's very obvious that yes, God definitely places men above women. And women are to be subservient. Women are to be bought and sold as property. Women are no concern is given towards their consent in any situation, not even in the New Testament. No, like he's ignoring all of the context of the Bible and instead wants you to reframe your view of the Bible that includes ignoring reading the words on the page. It requires you to ignore all that nuance. And I just can't see myself doing that. Like, I feel like Doug is asking me to remain ignorant on what the Bible literally says. And that I need to change the way I view the Bible to view the Bible in the very best light that I can, which includes ignoring parts of the Bible. That just fucking blows my mind that any apologist would think that this would work, which, I mean, maybe it shouldn't, because it shouldn't blow my mind, that is, because it obviously does work. There are plenty of people that believe the bullshit that's being spread by both of these individuals. They're both foregoing what they can literally read with their own eyes, because I know that they're not illiterate. They're foregoing what they can literally read with their own eyes to believe in this weird theology that ignores what's actually in Christianity.
So it is by no means sexist in the sense that men are intrinsically superior to women in any way. Now, if you look at science and psychology, are there general traits that apply to men and women? Sure, there are.
But there is a difference that's made. Like, from the very beginning, there's a distinction that's made. Men have to work in order to, eat and live and all this other stuff. That was man's punishment. A little slight slap on the wrist. Women are tasked with. I really need to read this directly from, what it says in Genesis here. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And then here's what it says for Adam, okay? For Adam, he says, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, because you listened to your woman, as to reframe it, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying thou shalt not eat it, cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow, oh, well, what sorrow could that be? Does he have to produce a gremlin out of his ass every 10 years? What's going to happen? In sorrow shall thou eat of it all the days of thy life. You'll eat food every day. Fruit. Women have to push a whole ass person out of their bits down there, and I don't know how it fucking works. I mean, it's fucking amazing to me that can even happen. That God opens their wombs. Women have to push a whole ass person out of their bits. Men get to have a fucking burrito. How can you sit here on this stream and be like, there's no distinction that's made in the Bible? I'm sorry. I must, have some fucking like shit in my eye that's causing words that don't exist on the page to appear there. Because it's very obvious that there are two different things being described here. One individual has to push a whole other human being out of themselves. The other person gets to eat a fucking burrito. These are not the same or equal things.
But the issue as we deal with people one-on-one is, who are you, as a man? Who are you as a woman? I'm not going to assume that because you're a woman, you're a particular way. I'm not going to assume if you're a man necessarily you're a particular way. We get to know people, and we want to live within the moral standards of Scripture.
The moral standards of Scripture. It's an interesting phrase right there. Is it part of the moral standards of Scripture to force women into sexual slavery? Yes. Yeah, that's the correct. Yeah, it is. That's within the moral. Is it within the moral standards of Scripture? Scripture, mind you, Scripture. To sell your daughter into sexual slavery as soon as she can bear children. Yep, it is. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm far better, far more, whatever moral failings I may have. I feel like I am vastly more moral than the moral structure or moral system of the Bible, because I would not do either of those things. I also wouldn't invade an entire people group, kill everybody in it, and then, except for the virgin girls, and take them as sexual slaves. I am vastly more moral than the God of the Bible. And I don't even have to try that hard. I just gotta fucking sit here and be a normal fucking person in society, and I'm already, like that, a better person than Yahweh. So don't give me shit about this whole moral system and how in Christianity that they care about what kind of person are you. That's another bullshit thing about theology that these guys don't want you to actually think about. They actively want you to stop thinking about this, because once you realize that the Christian theology, with the except like in Protestantism, which that's what these guys are pushing here, Protestant Christianity, evangelical Christianity. Sorry, we got a super chat coming in. The super chat. Oh, there it goes.
Just a little bit of money.
Zachary the Hockey says, so do they not read the Bible or just not care? I feel like they have to delude themselves into thinking these things. That I do believe that Doug Groothius here has deluded himself into honestly thinking this shit that he's spouting here. But getting back to what I want you to really think about. In Protestant evangelical Christianity, the thing that these guys are pushing, it doesn't matter what kind of person you are. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter to Jesus. And this is a selling point. Like, I didn't think of this until quite recently, just because I just didn't deeply think about it. But this is a selling point of their flavor of Christianity. It literally does not matter your conduct or character, right? It doesn't matter whatsoever, because God or Jesus, died for your sins. So all your sins are already forgiven. And if you believe in him, you get into heaven, right? And that's because Jesus masks all of your shittiness, because we're all shitty and deserve to go to hell. But it's only through Jesus that we're able to get into heaven. That's because Jesus is camouflaged for all that bad shit that you did. So it really doesn't matter if you do bad shit. The only thing that matters is whether or not you believe in Jesus. Now, if you're Catholic, this doesn't exactly track, because you can be Catholic, believe in Jesus, and still burn in hell. Because Catholicism employs the faith and works. And then, of course, you have the Ray Comforts out there who think that if you truly believe in Jesus, you just won't do bad shit, right? And so they present this no true Scotsman fallacy for explaining why Christians still do bad shit. But in the flavor that we're talking about here, the context that we're talking about with these two guys on the screen, they're trying to sell it as, well, what really matters is your character, your conduct. Who are you as a person? And I'm trying to tell you, if you look at the theology, and I'm not just saying in the Bible, you have to think about how these guys or how Protestants think about salvation, which is not necessarily biblical in the sense of just literally reading it on the page, because you get conflicting accounts. But it literally doesn't matter if you're a good person, but they're trying to act like that's one of the things that matters. So I don't know if they're just bold-faced lying to their audience. I don't know if they're deluding themselves into this particular position. Maybe it's that. I would probably lean that direction before I lean to the dishonest side of things. But it's amazing to me that they're sitting there and they're saying these things and they're just not even true. They're not even true.
That's what really matters. And I've mentioned Becky a few times, my first wife, Rebecca Merrill Groothius. She wrote two.
Sorry, we got a super chat real quick. Drew's Book Reviews. He says, Tuesday is my 7th apostiversary, 7 years out of the LDS. Awesome. Happy apostiversary next Tuesday there, Drew.
Just a little bit of money.
I'm so glad you're able to get out of that, man, because the fucking LDS is some crazy shit.
Books on this, Women Caught in the Conflict and Good News for Women. Now, some Christians will disagree about the role of women in the church, the role of women in the home, but we can all agree that we are equally made in the image and likeness of God, and that the Holy Spirit uses men and women in leadership to explain and propound the gospel and do great good works in society.
So see, there it is right there. He said, he reinforces this again, that if you look too closely and apply and consider all the nuance surrounding the actual words in the Bible, you get conflicting ideas of who's like the roles of each person, like in Christian theology. Like, you know, where's women's place at? Well, it's definitely not in the church, you know, yapping it up and telling people what to think, right? That's obviously not it, at least according to Paul. And then, of course, if you look in the Old Testament, women are to be bought, bartered, and, you know, sold off and shit to creepy old dudes. So, I mean, don't look too close at the Bible. You got to reframe it and only focus on the fact that there's God, and below God, that's us getting shit on by God and loving it every single day. But the point is, we're all being shit on God. There's no different levels here because God's shit hits every level. Casey said, I'm loving it. So yes, obviously, if you zoom out and you only see this distinction between God and mortals on earth, and the mortals are supposed to be, all mortals are supposed to be subservient to God, you're not going to see the sexism or the misogyny that is inherent to the theology. That's what Doug and Sean here seem to want you to do. Just turn a blind eye to all of the misogynistic and sexist shit. I feel like Doug could have ended this entire thing in a few seconds. He could have just been like, well, as long as you don't read the passages that contain sexism and misogyny, then no, the Bible is not sexist or misogynistic. Like, you have to not read those sections. You have to not consider them. That's entirely what he said right here. You have to not consider the sexist and misogynistic parts of the Bible in order to come away with this idea that it's not sexist or misogynistic. That's baffling to me. I'm fucking baffled. Do I seem baffled? Because I'm baffled. I'm baffled.
One of the questions I often raise is if you're going to trust your daughter with any of the great spiritual leaders throughout history, who would you trust with your daughter most for a day?
Nobody. No, I would not trust my daughter with any religious person from the Bible. No. Now, there's not one person in the Old Testament that I'd be like, he can babysit. Like, there's nobody in the Bible that I think would be a good, like, would be good enough to babysit anybody's kid nowadays.
I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she's beautiful. Mohammed.
Oh, really? I'm glad that he, you know, he feels that way and he doesn't see any misogyny in his faith. But at the same time, if we think about this, what he said, Old Testament figure that you'd leave your daughter with, those guys would have sold their daughters 3-4 years before that, before they turned 15. At 15, if they're not already married off, then I'm sure the dads are worried. Like, is my stock spoiling here? Like, what's going on? I need to sell this off. Need to offload it. Got to liquidate it. I mean, the way that women are treated as property in the Old Testament is just sickening. But Sean here wants us to think about these sex slavers, essentially, in the Old Testament, and think about, well, which human trafficker would I trust with my daughter? I don't know. That guy that bought Esther up, he seems all right. He's a king. Kings don't do bad things, right? Oh, what about David? He's only got 300 concubines. That's a good role model. I want him to look after my 15-year-old daughter.
Ahmed?
Well, no, true. I was just contextualizing it with Sean mentioning his daughter.
No. Joseph Smith? No. Charles Taze Russell, who...
Wait, hold on. I need to go back a little bit.
Who would you trust with your daughter most for a day? I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she's beautiful. Mohammed? No. Joseph Smith? No. Charles Taze Russell, who founded Jehovah's Witnesses, at least accused of sexual abuse. Buddha abandoned his family. I mean, Jesus had every opportunity to take advantage of women, and still to this day, 2,000 years later, passes the Me Too test with flying colors.
Okay. So I also, maybe I can agree with him on this. I agree. I would not entrust my daughter's safety to Muhammad, Joseph Smith, the JW fuck, or even Jesus, to be honest. Because they're going off the idea that Jesus, as portrayed in the Gospels, is the literal Jesus that walked on earth, but he's not. He would have been in Israelite society, so he would have been just as misogynistic as the rest of the Israelite society was. And I mean, he is a bit misogynistic. I mean, in this past week's, it was either this past week or the week before, we covered the story where Jesus basically calls a woman a bitch, and she didn't let that affect her, and still had faith in him, and so he healed her daughter. And but still, I get that Jesus was maybe not as misogynistic, but Jesus also said that everybody still needs to practice the laws of the Old Testament, the laws of Moses, and all this other stuff. And all of those laws are very misogynistic. So while maybe Jesus wasn't as misogynistic as the rest of Israelite society, I mean, by our standards today, he would definitely not pass Me Too. I'm sorry. Jesus is sitting there thinking that, oh yeah, it's okay to sell your daughters into sexual slavery. That's fine. In fact, if you actually step back and you cock your eye a little bit and you blur your vision, it's actually not sexual slavery at all. So it's perfectly fine. All that's, decent. That's great. I don't think that would pass any kind of quote unquote Me Too test.
I would have zero hesitance, my 15-year-old daughter, with a single 30-year-old man for the day named Jesus, because of all the records we had of how he treated women. And if he's a culmination of God, he brings the truth of God's love for men and women all the way to the surface. Even though admittedly there's some tough passages we're not talking about here, I think that's the ultimate way to look at it.
So Sean admits there are tough passages that might throw a wrench in his engine here for this particular thing. But if you just step back, don't consider those shitty passages and only focus on this, you get away with no misogyny.
Just a little bit of money.
Zachary Lahaki says, and remember, Jesus had 12 men, disciples, and 0 women. That's true, because the women, like his mother, Mary, even Mary Magdalene, they weren't considered disciples, even though they were doing the exact same shit as disciples, following Jesus around and shit, right? Like, so, I mean, that's a really good point. They were definitely treated differently than the actual disciples that were picked. But I think that it's so telling that Sean's just like, forget all that shit. Only focus on this good stuff that we're talking about here today, and no misogyny. That's great. We're not going to handle those horrible passages that talk about selling, little girls into slavery, or killing a little girl's entire family and forcing her into sexual slavery. We're not going to talk about those things because we're only having good thoughts, happy thoughts. Smile, happy thoughts. Because the story of Esther was definitely not a young girl getting kidnapped by a man in power and forcing her to be his sexual slave. No.
Doug, did I miss any big questions you get asked that you want to address here?
Well, maybe, but I'm tired, so we can finish now.
You're tired, okay.
So admittedly, this is an hour into the interview, so I mean, they discuss a few things here, but nothing really of too much importance because they don't go into too specific details. But we'll still listen to them. Actually,
I'm fine, but I think we had a good day's work here. There are lots of issues that come up beyond the 10 that we dealt with, but I think we dealt with 10 of the most significant ones. I mean, maybe another one would be, why do you choose Jesus as opposed to Buddha or Muhammad as your religious leader? And I think we've already covered that in terms of the meaning of his death and resurrection.
So he said that this was a good day's work, right? That's what he said. I don't consider this a good day's work. Like, this hour that they spent talking about it, and it's not because I look down on interviews or anything like that. Not at all. It's because of what Sean said right before this last section, and that's there are some problematic things in the Bible, but we're just not going to focus on those, and we're just going to focus on this happy idea that we have, right? I'm paraphrased, obviously. I feel like for it to be labeled like a good hard day's work, as far as like what fuck me. My camera just went out. Well, shiitake. There we go. So, I feel like they would have actually handled some of these harder to deal with passages. They would have explained to us why viewing sexual slavery to be existing in Israel isn't really a thing. Why is treating women as property to be bought and bartered with? Why is that not, human trafficking? Why is consent not considered at all in the Bible as far as women go? Why are women literally valued less when they were, counting people for taxes? Why are, when women have male babies, they are considered less dirty than when they have female babies. That's in the Bible too. Like, I feel like in order to really say that this was a good hard day's work, they would have dealt with those difficult passages. But all they did was hand wave them away and be like, yeah, sure, they exist, but, you know, we're just going to think happy thoughts today. That's all we're going to do. Think happy thoughts. See this little happy thought tree over here? That's our secret happy thought tree.
His miracles, his moral character, and so on. But that one often comes up. People will say, there's so many religions. Why Christianity? Why Jesus? Why not Buddha? Why not Muhammad? And I'll talk all day about that. It's not arbitrary. There are good, sufficient historical, moral, philosophical reasons to side with Jesus and to make Jesus Lord and to worship Jesus, because he is in a category absolutely by himself.
No, he's literally not. He's not in a category by himself. He's in a category with other fucks that do the exact same thing for different religions. I mean, like all of the mystery religions, like the one that is commonly appealed to is the ISIS and Osiris cult. I mean, they have Osiris, you know, had his whole death and then resurrection in order to accomplish, something for his people, to give them everlasting life, right? There's multiple different gods that offer everlasting life. There's multiple gods that require baptism. There's multiple other gods that have a sacrificial death and then overcoming that death with a resurrection. That he's not in a category on his own. And in fact, you can even look this up. The early Christians, I believe this is maybe Irenaeus. I think it was Irenaeus that said this. But basically, the early church fathers, when they were talking about Jesus compared to pagan gods, they said that he is exactly like these sons of Zeus that you have. Like, they recognize that Jesus offers the exact same shit as these other pagan gods do. And they do the same stuff. He was treated the exact same way, being that, you know, he was went through a passion, died and resurrected. Like, they recognize that these things were there. And the early church fathers, you know how they just explained why so many different gods before Jesus do the exact same things as Jesus? It's an age-old one, and people think that, you know, it's a joke now, but it's not. The devil did it. Satan himself. Hold on. Satan himself went back in time and littered the timeline with copycat Jesus's copycatted them all up, and that's why people didn't believe in the real Jesus came, because the devil put them in the ground, or put the copycats there and everything, and that's how it was. Like, this is literally what the early church fathers said about other deities that have the exact same properties as Jesus. Sorry, I didn't mean to go to this one. Because we're done! I hope you guys enjoyed this video tonight. All in all, I am very unimpressed with this video and the explanation. It would be nice to hear Sean go through some of these harder passages to deal with these passages that are hard to deal with. It would be great to see how he explains this shit. Doubtful Form says new boss, same as the old boss. That's right. But it would be awesome to see Sean deal.
Hey, y'all know what? Anytime is a good time for a beer.
But it would be great to see Sean deal with some of these harder to deal with passages or topics that are prevalent not only in the Old Testament, but also in the New Testament. I think that not going through those was really kind of detrimental for his stream, because now, walking away from this, I feel like these apologists, they want their audience to be ignorant and illiterate and just gullible as fuck. I think that those are the three things that all apologists want out of their audience. And it seems like they should require this out of their audience in order for them to be believed. Because I don't see how anybody with just fucking eyeballs that work, or even fingers that work, that can read Braille, or have a friend that can read the Bible to you word for word. I don't see how anybody just sucking in the information that's straight from the page in some kind of fashion can't see the sexism and the misogyny in the Bible. I don't know how you can walk away from the Bible and not think misogyny and sexism in there. Like, it baffles me. So, I don't know. I feel like this was a bit more detrimental to their case than they think it was. Because obviously they think this was fantastic, right? They thought it was a good answer to that. But I don't see a good answer. I see them telling their audience to forget all the nuance. Don't even think about how this Israelite society is structured, all the rules surrounding women and men, and even what God literally fucking says in the first few chapters of his holy book. Like, don't even think about that. I want you to zoom out. A 30,000 foot view to see that God is superior to everybody. So we're all being shat on by God and nobody can escape it. And in that way, we are equal. As long as you don't look too costly. And that seems to be what they are requiring out of their audience. So, anyways, that's going to be it for the main part of the stream tonight. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you will, please go down below and leave me a comment down there. Let me know what you think. Did I miss some references, or did I get some references wrong? Do you disagree with my interpretation of the sexual slavery that appears in the Old Testament? Anything you want to argue with me on, just go right on down there to the comments and let me know, because I'd really love to hear it, or read it, rather. Anyways, go down there, let me know. While you're down there, why don't you smash that like button, because if you're still here after this entire thing, shit. If you're still here after everything, make sure you leave a like. Also, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we got the Skeptic Mafia comments to go through, which I am working on pulling up right now. Okay. There we go. Not too many comments tonight. I really do appreciate all the Skeptic Mafia members that leave a comment tonight. And, if you want to have a chance to leave your own thoughts on a video, on a live stream, please consider doing a membership. Doubtful Form says, it's not sexist. Women are just chattel. How can you compare a woman made out of a man's rib when he was made out of clay? So clearly males are worth more than females. Thank you, Doubtful Form. I appreciate you. Drew's Book Review says, yes, That is all. Until next time, keep on reading. Yeah, no, you don't even need to hear what the bullshit they got to say because you know that they're going to be contradictory. So all you got to be like is, yes, of course, it's sexist and it's misogynistic. Darren Wright says, well, this is just laughable. Cherry picking at its finest. Absolutely ridiculous claim to think that Christianity isn't sexist. I really don't have much else to say. Oh yeah, join the Skeptic Mafia today. No sexism allowed. Just don't get offended by whale pain. Peace and love, y'all. Thank you, Darren. I appreciate you. Next is Jonathan Nickel, who says this pair smugly claim the Bible isn't sexist. They assert that men and women were created equal, and whilst they claim that women and women have roles in society, they speak as though they are treated fairly. But is that true? Let's see. For example, 1 Timothy 2:12 clearly states that women are to shut their mouths in church and may not teach and may not have authority over man. They glossed over that for some reason. Yeah, they hand wave it away. Let's see. Then you have the book of Numbers. Moses telling his soldiers that they can keep the virgin girls for themselves, and that verse is in Deuteronomy. And that verse in Deuteronomy where a man pays 50 shekels of silver for a virgin girl that he assaulted. Yeah, there's that too. The fact that young women are in the Old Testament at least, if they get raped, assaulted by a man before they're wedded off to somebody, they have to pay the father damages because it's exactly like breaking a pot. Just a little objectifying women there. There's nothing to really. Oh, look at the squirrel. Wait, no, wait. Oh, look at the red car. Let's go over here and look at the red car. Honestly, I thought that'd get a chuckle.
I know what you're talking about.
It's not hard to find verses in that book where women are viewed as inferior and even chattels for men. Clearly, this pair didn't even look. It was only in 1994 that the Church of England finally allowed women to serve as clergy, and there are still some who object. It was as late as 2015 that they ordained the first female bishop. Around that time that women were first being allowed to serve in the church, there was a comedy TV series running in the UK called The Vicar of Dibley about a female vicar serving in a rural community. In the first episode, one of the main characters objected to the fact that their new vicar was a woman. You don't even need to look at the Bible. The recent history of the church speaks for itself. I can't agree more. I think the recent history of the church is just deplorable. All right, and then I guess finally we've got Tomato Chan, Zumiti, the Zumington Zoomer, who says, if there is a young woman, a virgin, already engaged to be married, and a man meets her in town and lies with her, you shall stone them to death, the young woman because she did not cry out for help, and the man because he violated his neighbor's wife. If the woman is not engaged, the man who lay with her shall give 50 shekels of silver to the young woman's father, and she shall become his wife. Oh yeah, and the rape victim must marry their rapist. So there you go. Deuteronomy 22, 23 through 27. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty sexist, and that's all I need to say, except for ASCII time. Oh, it's a big fuck you. I couldn't agree more to both of these guys. A big fuck you. This is what I think of the Bible. It's all misogynistic bullshit, and should be taken at face value as a book of story tales from a far gone time, and not to be taken seriously at all. And all that being said, go ahead and lick that like button and gently caress the subscribe. Ding the bell, tie your loved ones up and force them to watch after taping their eyes open and slowly dripping eye drops into... getting a phone call. Yeah, fine. Love you too. Okay, so my lawyer said they don't think it's wise to tie up your loved ones and force them to watch videos. So yeah, have a great night. Listen to your lawyers. KC is always right. And remember, I am not a snack. You're a meal. See, I don't think any were held for review. Nope, we're all caught up and everything. Awesome. All right, let's head back on over to here. And you know, honestly, let's see. While we're right here, I have a new little transition like metal door thing. That I can get pulled up rather quickly right here, and I'll unveil it right now. Been trying to do a little bit more of the you know, I guess special effects for like transitions and stuff. Oh wait, it's in here. Okay. All right, here we go. Brand new transition that's going to replace the one that I've been using for a while. Here it is. Love that shit. Yeah. Dun 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 dun. Hold on. Here we go. Dun 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Jesus. Boom. Yeah, fancy as fuck. I got it. Anyways, new transition. Hope you guys like it. Now, I'm just now remembering, which, you know, kind of, I guess, sort of a shame on me kind of moment. I just now remembered that we are going to be having a mafioso hangout tomorrow afternoon, probably around 3 p.m. You think that'd be an okay time there, hon? A mafia hangout? I don't see why not. Yeah. Okay, so let's plan for around 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. The mafiosos. Apparently, 83% of people that we're watching, which is 84 votes, which, I mean, that's a pretty hefty majority of the people watching tonight loved Jesus. So we will I'll be definitely practicing with Jesus and figuring out a good voice for him or something like that. But in any case, you know, we're going to be having a Mafia hangout tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time. That would be 4 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys can, if any of the Mafia can make it, I'd love for you guys to make it. And I will be posting up all the information about that tomorrow. And I guess y'all have an awesome night. Thank you guys so much for picking me over The Last of Us. We're going to go and watch The Last of Us now. Anyways, y'all have an awesome night. We're going to go have an awesome night. Have an awesome weekend, and we will see you guys next Monday when we've got some great shit posting. We will see you heathens then. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.